So, you've just finished your B.Tech in Biotechnology. First of all, congratulations. That's a huge achievement. But now, you're probably facing that one big question. What's next? It can feel a little chaotic, right? Well, don't worry. We're about to take all that confusion and turn it into a crystal clear, actionable roadmap for your future.
This is the question on literally every graduate's mind. Let me introduce you to Rashmi. She just graduated from a fantastic university. And yeah, she's thrilled, but she's also got this knot of anxiety about her future. Sound familiar? Here's the thing. The problem isn't a shortage of jobs. Not at all. It's the lack of clear, expert guidance on where to even look.
And that lack of guidance creates what I like to call a career traffic jam. Imagine everyone getting on the same highway, heading for the same 2 or 3 exits they know about. It creates this massive bottleneck and intense competition. Meanwhile, there are all these other open roads, these amazing career paths that are completely empty just because nobody told you they were there. This explainer, think of it as your personal GPS, designed to help you navigate right around that jam. So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start by really understanding the power of the degree you're holding. Then we'll explore all the different career paths you can take. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of the skills you need and the salaries you can expect, lay out a solid 6-month action plan to get a job, and we'll wrap up with some key tips for long-term success.
All right, first things first, let's talk about that degree you worked so incredibly hard for. I want to be really clear. You should never, ever regret choosing B.Tech Biotechnology. Why? Because it's honestly one of the most powerful and relevant degrees you can have in today's world. Let's break down what makes it such a game changer.
At its heart, your degree is all about one thing: creation. It's this incredible sweet spot where biology meets technology. You've learned how to harness the building blocks of life, genes, proteins, cells, and use them to build real-world solutions. We're talking about everything from life-saving medicines to more sustainable ways to grow our food. You weren't just trained to study science, you were trained to build with it. Okay, so you've got this powerful degree in your hands. Where can you actually go with it? Let me tell you, the options are way more diverse and exciting than you might think. Let's unpack the major pathways that are open to you right now. So you can think of the biotech world as being split into 2 big areas. On one side, you have the wet lab. This is what most people picture: hands-on work in a lab with test tubes and biological samples. But on the other side, you have the dry lab. And this is where things get really interesting. It's all about computational biology, data analysis, and even AI. It is a massive, massive growth area. And you know the best part? You don't always need a physical lab to make a huge impact. Now, within the core biotech and pharma industries, these are your main entry points. You could start as a research assistant, or you could move into these absolutely crucial roles like quality control, making sure products are safe and effective. And then you have fields like clinical data management and pharmacovigilance, which is basically just a fancy term for monitoring drug safety after they're on the market, and these roles are in super high demand right now. But it doesn't stop there. You can get even more specialized. Agribiotech, for example, is a massive field focused on developing better crops to feed the world. And if your dream is to work in a top-tier government lab or in academia, the path is very clear. You build on your B.Tech with a PhD, and that opens the doors to prestigious institutions like CSIR, DRDO, or the IITs. Okay, so we know the jobs that are out there, but what skills do you actually need to land one? And let's be real, what kind of money can you expect to make? Let's get into the practical details that every single graduate needs to know. Think of this as your professional toolkit. For those wet lab roles, techniques like PCR and cell culture are your bread and butter. But for the high-growth dry lab roles, programming languages like Python and R are your golden ticket. They would allow you to analyze the massive data sets that are driving all the new discoveries. Same goes for tools like molecular docking, which lets you model how new drugs might work on a computer. But listen, don't sleep on the soft skills. Strong English communication is absolutely non-negotiable for interviews, especially since so many of the top companies are global. And this chart really tells the story when it comes to money. As a fresher, you can expect a starting salary somewhere in that 3 to 6 lakh range. But just look at that jump. If you specialize in these high-demand areas like bioinformatics and AI, that salary potential skyrockets to between 6 and 20 lakh. The message here is simple. Your earning potential is directly tied to the specialized skills you build. Now,
for what might be the most important part of this whole discussion, the action plan. This isn't just theory. This is a concrete 6-month strategy to take you from being a recent graduate to a hired employee. Let's break it down step by step. But before we jump into the plan, we need to bust a really common myth. You're going to hear people say, oh, there are no jobs after B.Tech, you have to do a master's. Let me be clear, that is just not true. The jobs are out there. You should only pursue a higher degree if you have a genuine burning passion for advanced research, not because it feels like the default option when you haven't found a job yet. All right, here it is, your 4-step launch plan. Step 1, figure out your direction. Are you drawn to the hands-on work of the wet lab, or does the data-driven world of the dry lab excite you? Step 2, invest 2 to 3 months in a skill-based internship. This is where you get that critical hands-on experience. Step 3, completely overhaul your CV and LinkedIn profile to shout about these new skills and projects. And finally, step 4, apply strategically. The goal here is to land a job within 6 months. That keeps your momentum going and, crucially, avoids a long gap on your resume. You have the map and you have the plan. Now let's just cover a few final tips that won't just help you get a job, but will help you build a successful, thriving career for the long haul. Think of these as your new career habits. First, never stop learning. Treat every few months like a new semester, a chance to add a new skill to your toolkit. Second, build your professional brand on LinkedIn. It's your digital storefront to the world. Third, if you have research or project work, publish it. Show off what you can do. And this last one is so important for new graduates. Keep your social media presence clean and professional. I promise you, employers do check, and you don't want a fontless post to cost you your dream job. So there you have it. We've laid out the map, we've explored the paths, and we've built the plan. You have the tools, and you know that the opportunities are right there, just waiting for you to claim them. The only question left is, what's your first step going to be?